Prime Minister is promising to significantly cut the number of immigrants, warning that the UK risks becoming an island of strangers. The Tories and Reform say it doesn't go far enough. The SNP say it goes too far.
Today we publish a white paper on immigration, a strategy absolutely central to my plan for change that will finally take back control of our borders. So as this white paper sets out, every area of the immigration system, work, family and study, will be tightened up so we have more control.
The Labour Party haven't cared about immigration for decades and decades and decades, but they're in a blind panic because they realise this is now above the National Health Service as an issue of concern to British voters.
It fails to reflect Scotland's distinct demographic challenges that we have. We have a skills shortage, we have a falling population, and I think that the proposals in it will present quite a significant risk to our economy.
The new set of proposals include doubling the time it takes to reach settled status in the UK to 10 years, introducing higher English language requirements for all visa applicants and ending overseas recruitment for social care visas. Andy, 750,000 net migration last year. Is immigration too high?
Well, look, what a juxtaposition from an intelligent, considered debate on assisted dying to this, which has not been intelligent or considered for quite some time now. It may be too high, and it's totally legitimate for a country to have immigration policy. It's totally legitimate for a country to control its borders and decide how many people it wants and who it needs. That's normal, that's fine. But do it on the basis of need and of policy and of governing. Don't do it on the basis of politics. I mean, we know why this is being done. This is being done to try to arrest the drift of people towards Nigel Farage and reform. That's the driver behind this. So some of it may be sensible, some of it may be legitimate, but I'd like to see it being done for the right reasons. I'd like to see it being done by a government governing rather than being done by a government trying to campaign.
Shona, it's certainly a big growth industry in politics just now, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, God forbid I agree with Nigel Farage, but this is a blind panic response from Keir Starmer. It was a mortifying speech. There was so many...
Why was it a mortifying speech?
Because the language that he's using, the arrogance to presume that we can still attract the top talent to the UK while saying to people, well, you have to meet this requirement and that requirement, this notion that we're going to be able to get the migrants that we need and close the door to the ones that he's decided he doesn't want based on a very, very short-term thinking. It's interesting that Farage should mention the NHS and say immigration is now a concern above that. Well, how do we think our NHS can function if our social care sector has collapsed, which would be the logical extension of closing the door completely to foreign carers?
But given the English Council results, the by-election result in Runcorn, the polls suggesting Nigel Farage's Reform Party is so far ahead at the moment, he's driving the agenda on this. Maybe he's actually in tune with what a lot of the voters think.
Well, I'm reluctant to attribute too much logic to the thinking of people who are saying they're going to support reform, but I don't actually think foreign carers are the people that they have a huge problem with. Some of them, the racists, probably do. They don't want their elderly parents looked after by someone who doesn't have perfect English. But I think probably more of them are concerned about illegal immigration, which Starmer can't really say too much about before his EU reset, because Brexit in itself is actually hampering our response to illegal immigration. But Keir Starmer will never turn around and say, actually, Brexit was a disaster and we actually want to get access to the EU fingerprint database so we can deport illegal immigrants.
Katrine, is this going to get immigration figures down, do you think?
Unlikely, to be honest. We've seen previous Tory governments make all kinds of attempts to tackle immigration. They had targets, something Keir Starmer didn't actually set today. They had targets that they didn't meet. So whether this will actually have the effect of bringing immigration down substantially, we don't know. But I think as well, it's a different situation in Scotland and England. In Scotland, we have much more of a declining working age population, and we need more people. We need people to work in the care homes, as Shona said, but to do all kinds of other jobs as well. How do we get that if we don't have immigration? And I don't think this has been done by a UK government, absolutely, but it's not tailored to fit the different parts of the UK necessarily.
The politics of this are interesting as well, and probably not that good. I mean, at the end of the day, when you've got the leader of the opposition, Kemi Badenoch, and the Prime Minister both effectively chasing the Nigel Farage agenda, both of their parties have had the chance over the last 10, 15 years to do something about it, and they haven't. Why would you believe the people who say they're going to do something when they could have before, rather than believing the shiny new guy who's not had the chance yet? It's not going to shift votes back from reform towards Labour.
In Scotland?
No, I don't think so. But I do think the immigration argument is different in Scotland. Polls will show that as well. So I don't think it's going to work massively in Scotland either. But at the same time, I don't think it was that much of a driver in the first place in Scotland, apart from in some pockets.
So the debate is going to rage on. Thanks all for joining us on Scotland Tonight.